it's all with like good intention. So I think it's what I like about him is that yes, he's rich, he's smart, but he has like a noble cause behind that
Right.
mask.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
And you know what I would love to ask Tony Stark, like if the character were real, and this comes from Tim Robbins. Oh, sorry, Tim Robbins. Dude, like that's bad. Tony Robbins is whose love do you crave? And I don't know if you want to answer that, Brian, because and I'll give mine, and then you can decide to answer or not. It really it's up to you, because this is, like I said, I when writing these questions and listening to Tony Robbins. Yes, because I got this one particular yesterday from one of his interviews with Marie Forleo.
Mm-hmm.
She has a channel on YouTube called Marie TV, and he asked her on, and he's like, if you're willing, like you don't have to, but if you're willing, you know, let's dive into this. And it's interesting because like he basically did like a 10-minute consulting, right there at Kwik,
Right.
and one of his main questions was like, whose love do you crave? And for her, it was her dad, because with her dad, she had to be smart, she had to be successful, she had to be happy, go giddy, not go giddy, like not go getter, but go get it. She couldn't be. She said she couldn't be sad, because one of the questions also that he follows up with is, what couldn't you be for your dad? What couldn't you be for this parent? And when I was thinking about for myself, I was like, It's like, whose love did I crave? 'Cause it was interesting for me. And it wasn't even because I was the only child, because I have several cousins, within the age group. But it's like, I was always with somebody. Does that make sense? Like, I feel like if I had to answer this question, because one thing that Tony Robbins wants to keep clear is like, it's not who do you love more or who do you love the most. It's whose love did you crave? Like, did you just yearn for? Because he even brings in the science. Oxytocin is the chemical you feel from your mom initially. That's why you feel that separation from your mom when you're a baby and you start crying. It's like, what is this? It's there's literally a science called, and it's called oxytocin that you feel as a baby. And I know I got all that from my mom, like as long as I've lived. And because my dad drove on a truck long distance for 15 years, the first 15 years of my life, I feel like I didn't have a dad. Like, he was around and I went on trips with him, but yet, let's say he was out for 3 weeks at a time, home for 2 days, and then back out again. And of course now, like, there's so much understanding. Like, I think I give all the credit to like these distant mentors that I have, of like understanding. It's like, yeah, because he worked. That's his line of work. Even now, he's still a truck driver now, just at home.
Right.
And the life changing moment for me was the summer I was 15, going to be a sophomore, was the best summer of my life. And the reason I say that is because, not even having to do with band, but my daddy got off the truck. And that year that he got off the long distance truck, we went undefeated in baseball. That's just like serendipity for me. It's not coincidental, but it's just serendipity that is like, oh my God, like how amazing these stars lined up that my dad happened to make all 17 games and we went 17-0. Like, that's just stuff that I know I'm very fortunate to have.
Right.
But I feel like because of the primary 15 years that I had, right now I'm still trying to grow those 15 years that I, in my subconscious, lost.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd have to say my answer is my dad, who's the one that craved the most. And then going deeper is like, who did I have to be for that? Who do I have to be for him? And I was in baseball. Athletic. I mean, I was in all sports. And even then, like, the crazy answer for me, and I'd be very curious to talk to Tony about this, is like, but I liked doing all these things. And my question to him would be like, is this because subconsciously, like, that's who I needed to be? Does it go that deep?
I'm having like the same thoughts, because for me, the love that I crave is also my dad, and I think it's for similar reasons. Like, my parents split up when I was very young, so I always had like love and affection for my mom, but my dad, like, when I would rarely see him,
it was different, especially when you're
younger.
younger.
Yeah. So then when I did see him, it's like I kind of wanted what I had with my mom from my dad as well. And since we're men, we don't we don't really
exactly.
And like thinking on who I had to be for him, because that's the same like question that I kept asking, even when figuring out whose love I crave.
Yeah.
It's because I had to be a man. I had to work. I had to problem solve. All these things while I was with them. I had to be intelligent. On my feet. I had to be strong, physically strong, mentally strong.
Yeah.
And I like working with my hands. I like problem solving, analyzing all these things, and I'm wondering the same thing.
Yeah.
Is it because that's who he wanted me to be?
Yeah.
Or or did I just kind of learn to like to be this person because that's who I was with my dad?
Yeah. And this is where like I'm really getting close to like finally pulling the trigger on some of Tim Ferriss's 4-hour work week strategies of like calling a famous person you want to know, and or you want to get to know or have an interview or whatever, like diving into that. And it's like I'm getting very close to that, and like I'm probably gonna have to book, like, essentially when this happens, it's gonna be like months in advance. Because I mean, obviously, Tony, he talks about, he travels 15 countries a year. He talks to 250 million people a year. I don't know, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Finally got some general stats of like, I think he feeds like 10 million families a year, or 10 million people a year. And then like feedingamerica.com, they help like find donations to what's it called? Like when he let's say he raises X and they want to match. Yeah, they match the amount, and so they find donors, whether anonymous or otherwise, to then match Tony Robbins, and that's how I think they've fed over 100 million people now. I think that's what the number is,
crazy.
Which is amazing in like 10 years. Like it's quick, it's rapid, it's moving fast, which is awesome. And it's to me, he's doing something as fast as the internet. Because you won't know about it unless you know Tony Robbins, unless you do the reading, unless you do the research. Watch these interviews that I'm watching, which is crazy because like on Marie Folio's interviews, they're very good, but like there's only like a few thousand like views, which is insane to me. Because then you watch Gary Vee, which pushes like social media hard, so you see the hundreds of thousands of views. Even Mars Bar, these tech guys, these tech people that are like they're just massive like numbers on online, but the cool thing about going back to Jim Kwik, Tony Robbins, is that they're reaching those millions, and they're reaching their brains, they're reaching their stomachs. They're humanizing people again, and that's what has happened. That's been some of the fallout characteristics of social media, is dehumanizing, being able to just rant on somebody else's comment because you don't like what they think or how they think or what they do.
Yeah.
And anyways, I don't want to get too far into, but. So loves are creative. Both are dads. Who would you have to be? And for me, one of the answers for that, for sure, is like I had to be quiet because he was sleeping. When he was home, he was sleeping. And so this question it's making me think, because it's like, okay, now I need to follow up with Luis. My favorite pieces towards the end of this episode with Tony Robbins and Marie Forleo. Tony Robbins says, he brings up his son, because I think it's his youngest son who took a little while longer to develop a work ethic. And Tony Robbins finally just went introvert for himself, and he's like, okay, I want him to do, but then it's like, why not? Why doesn't he have this work ethic? Because like Tony Robbins, he's outgoing, he's alive every day. He's driven. And driven's a very ambiguous word now. I think it's become one of those ambiguous words with a lot of other words, such as knowledge. Potential. People are now forgetting the potential knowledge because knowledge is only so far.
Right.
Knowledge is potential power, not power. Right, and that's where we're losing a lot of people. But anyways, but one of the things he mentions about his son is like, he's like, well, he's my son. I know my son. And I was like, how well, for me, at this point, I'm getting less and less caring about any other adults who are wanting to be a part of Luis's life, and coming back to myself again. And it's like, okay, whose love does he crave? Because I know it's not mine. And so with that in mind, how can I just help him? And on this work ethic example that Tony Robbins gives, he was talking to his son. He's like, son, at the beginning, he was like, son, you need to work on your work ethic. Like, you need to, what are you going to do? What are you going to do with your life? And then again, finally realizing wait, well, he doesn't go through the same, he never had the same problems I had. He'll never have those problems. Like his parents are, Tony has his wife, which is his mom. And, so his upbringing was totally different. Total 180.
I was going to say, I think maybe around this week I had kind of like a similar thought. Like, how can you, because I mean, I don't have kids. I'm still young.
Yeah.
And I don't know what's going to become of my future. but I've kind of thought the same thing. Like, if I were to become, someone successful and, I could, become influential and whatnot, maybe be well off financially. How do I guarantee, or how do I help my children achieve that success?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, you can't guarantee it. Like, you were brought up differently.
Totally different, bro.
Those things
Right.
affect you you as a person, and they're different variables that will put you on a certain path, and unless those variables are recreated, exactly, and even besides that, like, your personality
Right.
has a lot to do with it. I
Mhm.
can't guarantee that my son or daughter will have the same personality, even if I recreate the same variables.
Yeah,
You never know.
Yeah.
They could go completely
The action could be totally different.
opposite
Yeah,
direction. Yeah.
where they know it's conscious, decision making or
Yep.
not. So he continues, and he said, as he retracted into himself, Tony did this, and he's like, man, like, he doesn't. The variables are totally different. Everything from the money to the living, everything was different. And so then he says, what am I supposed to learn from him? And dude, I had to, and I'll be very honest. Like I said, this is a vulnerable conversation for myself. Of like, I had to turn my face because, of course, my mom's sitting here in the middle and then Luis is next to me. But like, a tear started rolling down my eyes because it's like, okay, I need to pause, because right now he's the most important teenager in my life, right? So I said, okay, what am I supposed to learn from Luis? And then fucking Tony Robbins said, so this is the question he asked himself, and he answered it. And then he's like, son, you know how to chill. Teach me how to chill. Coach me how to chill. And I laughed.
Yeah.
And of course I have my headphones on, so my mom's pissed off because I'm on YouTube, because she sees Luis on YouTube all the time. So with that in mind, I'm already emulating him on purpose, spending more time on YouTube, of course, for different reasons. And I'm trying to get Luis over here. I'm still trying to pull him, but not still just being the way Jock calls it leadership capital. You only have so much capital value in your leadership that you have to use a little bit of time. Now you're gonna run out. You have to regain all that capital again. So I haven't done this, and I haven't talked about this with Luis yet. And I've kind of just let him be, because I've used this weekend initially to enjoy time with him and letting him know that, hey, I do have fun too, because lately, I guess in his eyes, I've been a little more humorous in my replies to him. He's like, dude, where'd you get that from? He's like, you can't be that funny. And I'm like, okay, I'm working at it, like, but because I'm making sure that, okay, like, I'm a hard ass, but for the weekend that we're out on the road for vacation, let it be a vacation, But anyways, so it's like, what am I supposed to learn from him? And Tony Robbins was to be chill. And essentially, it's kind of the same thing from Luis. It's just to allow myself to relax just a little bit more than I'm comfortable with. It's not about him. It's about me using this to then be chill with Luis, and in Tony's case, Tony with his son. Well, then Tony replied, or continues with this conversation, or this example, in saying that, lo and behold, 3-4 months later, his son comes in with like incredible work ethic. Like he doesn't even go into like what he goes into, like work wise, but that in 3-4 months, once he let his son chill and stop being so pushy, amazing things happened. And like, I'm very fearful of that, because I don't know. Like, Tony knows, because like I said, Tony knows his son. He said he's like, of course, it's my son. I know my son. And he said it with full-fledged confidence. Like, there's a difference saying, oh, I know my son. He's this. No. I actually believe Tony versus like half the parents that I actually know.
He knows him to the core.
Yeah, he knows his son to the core. And he's like, I can read my son's brain. Like, I know what he's thinking. I know what he's doing. Because it's initially his son's like, is this some type of tactic? Like, you're trying to like put me in like some type of trance? Because I mean, Tony Robbins has done that neuro-linguistic like change and like hypnosis and all that stuff. He studied all that stuff. And so his son caught that. He's like, he like squinted his eyes like, like, you're just playing a game with me, Dad. Like, like I don't believe you. He's like, no. He's like, coach me how to chill. And like Tony goes to like, and Tony's son's like, well, you just kind of like, you just kind of sit. He's like, you just kind of sit and you just kind of just chill. and it's okay. And even now.